up, guys? Today is the day we start stripping down blue, getting all that paint off there. And to do that, I'm gonna be using mostly stripping pads on a buffer, an Eastwood buffer. Eastwood sells these stripping pads, and stripping the paint off that way. I'm not really into the chemical strippers. They're super, super dangerous. They work. I'll probably use it in little places that I can't necessarily get any kind of stripping disc to get it off. So I'll probably use it, but I use it so sparingly. That stuff is very, very dangerous. But just gonna be stripping off paint, starting to get ready to straighten out the body, pulling the glass out, things like that. Good times. All right, guys, with that being said, let's go. Alrighty, well, it's time to start pulling this thing all back apart again, which this time will be a lot easier than last time with no frozen or stuck bolts or breaking off bolts, because all these bolts holding everything together here are now new. So, with that being said, I already took off the bumper and I was like, oh, wait a minute, cue time lapse, here we go. Experiment here would be to try to save this fender, which is going to be interesting. You can see that it's been welded here, some kind of crack or something that the farmer must have welded back up, and it's got a very big dent right here, which is going to make it tricky to get that dent out because you see how far inward all this mounting goes. So we might just cut this out, be able to try to pop this out, and then weld that back in. But for now, I'm going to strip the paint off. I've already done it to the driver's side fender and the grill and the upper and lower valance. And to strip the paint off, I'm just using this Eastwood buffer, but they sell these stripping pads. This is the same buffer I set on fire in one of the very early episodes of the truck. But sell these stripping pads and they work really good at getting old paint off. So let's get going. Alright, upon further investigation, I think this one's just a little too far gone. There's probably body guys out there that could rescue this, and I'm not one of them. It's pretty rough down here too, and I found some body filler down here covering up some rust. That's just gonna be just a little too much for me to be able to work with, especially having to cut out this bracket and weld it back in. I think it's just more trouble than it's worth. These fenders are pretty plentiful. All right, stripped off the paint and patina off the exterior of the hood, and you can see she's as dented as a soup can, that's for sure. And it looks like we're gonna have to do some reinforcement maybe under here, get this straightened out and then reinforce underneath in case that's a crease from, sometimes on old trucks, they'll crease down the middle from either pushing up too hard or pulling down too hard. You can see that it's cracked through, and we'll just have to pop that back out, weld it up, and maybe do a little reinforcement under there. But lots of little areas. I don't usually like to sand these out. So once I get them popped back up, then I run a sander over it to get an idea, as I work it up, how close it is to being flush. So that way, the less filler I have to use, the better. But yeah, this will need some significant straightening. I want to pause the video here for a second to show you that I just recently, just the other day, met one of my childhood heroes. And here he is, Mr. Gene Winfield. It's pretty amazing. Got to meet Gene, super nice guy. I've always heard that he was, and he definitely was. And I got to watch him work, which was amazing. 91 years old, and he's still at it, still building cars. It gave me a total recharge to get, just get back to work. Watching that guy, it's amazing, and his mind is still just as sharp as it was, and all the things I used to watch of his, and the interviews and things like that. Just an incredible guy, and that was a pretty awesome experience. Had to share that. And while I was there, it was really cool. A viewer came up and said, "Hey, that's always awesome. I encourage it. Come up, say hey." That was cool. We got to talk a little bit about the truck and stuff. Anyways, all right, back to the video. Also, there was some window washer nozzles, aftermarket ones, in there, and we'll just have to patch that hole with some weld. Not a big deal at all. I just get one of these brass guys underneath it, and then the weld won't stick to brass. Just put it up underneath there, weld her up. With a MIG welder, you can make up big old holes and weld those in. Copper, not brass. You guys know what I mean. All right, so I'm just gonna fill these holes where the aftermarket window washer fluid nozzles were, and like I said, I'm just going to use this copper backing plate to fill it in because the weld will not stick to copper. So it's actually pretty cool how it works. Here we go. And there it is, all plugged up. This is what it looks like before cleaning it up, and that's what it looks like after. Almost like it wasn't even there, and especially when you go over it with filler, it'll definitely disappear. All right, I've pretty much got everything out, even the wiring. And the reason I went that far with it is because I want to run some braces from up in here down to here, because this gets a little flimsy, and this is where the column would mount, and it just would flex a little more. I should have put that bracing in there in the first place, but never did. But now I have all the wiring out and give me a chance to do that. And looking in here, I'm thinking about, since I'm not going to need any of this here, this was cigarette lighter choke, and that was it had a block off plate. I think that was choke and that had a block off plate, whatever it was. Thinking about moving the AC controls into here, and then get rid of these kind of 80s plasticky AC vent, and putting in some round bullet type 3-bladed AC vents right in this kind of blank area. Looking in my vintage air catalog, these guys right there, they're 2.5 inches each, would probably fit quite nicely right in there, and then kind of get rid of this plasticky kind of 80s stuff here. I'm thinking about it. We'll see. All right, guys. Well, I was able to get the back glass out without incident. Wasn't really all that interesting, so I didn't film it. All I did was just pull on the gasket until it, came off the lip, went all the way around, and the glass just kind of came out from the inside on this. So that was easy enough. Getting this interior pretty stripped down. Also took down the headliner. That was in really bad shape. I was also able to get my louvers pretty straight here. They were all dented and all over the place. Got those pretty straight, stripped off more. That old paint, and looky here. Back down to bare metal on this side. I will say that rust scat that I'd put on here was not easy to get off. Way harder to get off than the automotive paint. So if you do use rust scat, be warned, it's going to be on there for a while. And I actually wasn't able to use the Eastwood style stripping disc to get it off. It was not working. So I had to use a stripping disc on my angle grinder, and it is completely worn down now. But that was what was able to take it off. She's looking quite familiar at this point. Definitely bringing back some memories of just 2 years ago, year and a half ago. I don't know. Bringing back old memories though. So to recap, we've got the driver fender, still looking for a passenger fender. We've got the grille stripped, lower valance, upper valance, this whole side of the truck pretty much. Hood, all the windows out, wiring out, headliner out, seat out, carpet. Got a lot done, really. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this one. Just kind of an update on stripping it down. It's going to take a long time. I didn't want to make one big, long, boring stripper video. So I figured I'd just break it up a little bit. I'm probably going to do more stripping off camera, obviously, and then we'll get into straightening out some panels and probably modifying. Like I said, I might want to do that dash thing with the AC. I'm debating on putting a third brake light in. I know I don't want to have to put a third brake light in, but all these stories these days of hot rods and really nice vehicles just getting creamed because people are looking for that third brake light these days. So I don't know, kind of thinking about that. We'll see. We'll see if we can come up with a really like incognito way of putting one in. All right, with that being said, guys, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.